welcome to episode 2 of Randy Crafts, the sequel, and I have brought myself to the beach. Why have I braved predators like these to go to the beach? Well, simply because of the challenge that was laid out by Bill over at Bill Making Stuff, who built a SEEDBOT. If you don't know what a SEEDBOT is, you can either go check out Bill's video, which if you haven't, I don't know why you're here and you're not there. It's a little AI capsule. It's a miniature tabletop gaming. That's a whole thing. I'm not getting into that. Yeah, so it's a little thing. It's a little robot-y thing, AI thing. Boom, lands on planets, gathers whatever resources are close by to build itself a body, and as it goes it gathers more and builds and builds. So it goes, and I thought, well, I'm going to have one that has landed just on the shore, not in the sea, just on the shore at the beach. So yeah, I needed to get parts, ingredients, so I've had to again brave the aerial predators of the area and go to the beach. Yeah, let's go to the beach. Okay, so here we go, on the beach, picking up all sorts of bits and pieces, shells, look at this fluffy stuff here, sticks that kind of look like bones, digging the seaweed for more sticks, more sticks, more sticks. Should probably get some stones at some point, and probably a few more shells. Oh, look, there's a nice stone, look at that one. I stick them all in my bag. That little bag there, that's enough, because you don't want to pick the beach clean. If everybody did this, there would be no beach left. Interesting looking stone, another interesting stone, nice shapes, bits of gravel, bits of sand, so many stones, look at all this. One of the things I like to do when I'm out gathering stuff is, look at this, bit of trash, bit of crap left on the beach, pick that up, take that away. I'll find a use for that. But we see the use for it. It's pretty cool as far as crap on the beach goes. Yeah, so all lots of nice stuff all gathered together, stuck through the oven and boiled and all different things to kill off all the bugs. Look at this. That's going to be nice. That's going to be the body. I love that. Like the colour. Again, this stick that looks like a bone that I was determined I was going to use and I never actually do. But it's still pretty cool, and I'll probably use it someday because, again, it looks like a sticky bone. Big stones to different size. The stones, I've separated them all up. There's the shells there. Smaller stones, interesting shaped stones. Kind of heavy gravel, thick gravel, little bits of driftwood. And again, this weird fluffy stuff, I have no idea what this is. I don't know what produces it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what it is. Plant of some kind, seaweed, I don't know. But I find I love this stuff later on when I use it. It's awesome. There we go, separated up all the sand and grit and gravel bits into thicker and then the finest of stuff. I use this when I'm gluing, just to kind of get the glue to stick together and fill gaps. But anyway, this is way too big for the torso, so I'm going to chop it down into a much more manageable size, better size for the scale that I'm going for. Just chomp away at it. Rather than a clean cut, I didn't want to saw it. I didn't want a clean cut. I want it to be kind of rough. I want that texture to still be in there. And, look at the power. And then I'm snipping all these smaller bits of driftwood, almost twigs. These are going to be the limbs, these are going to be the legs, the arms. Just cutting them down to a more, not manageable size, I don't know, just the size I think I'm going to need at this point. The whole way through, I'm just winging it. I kind of have a plan, but I don't have that much of a plan. I think I know what I'm going for. Initially I thought some kind of crab shape, but yeah, it just, as the bits stick together, I kind of get an idea of what I'm looking for. Here we go, just sticking the first of the limbs, the start of the legs onto the body, and again using that fine sand just to fill in all the little gaps, bind all the pieces together, give it a more sturdy connection. And now we're just adding more bits of the legs on, kind of going for that sort of 3-part leg, and then getting little bits of driftwood, little scraps, sticking them on along the sides, just looking to bulk out the limbs, because just now it's very spindly. I want this to look substantial. I want it to look like an impressive big beast type thing. SEEDBOT. I don't know what a SEEDBOT. I know what a SEEDBOT is. Well, I know as much as what Bill tells us. A SEEDBOT is. It's some kind of. Is it a creature? Is it a robot? I don't know. It's made out of wood and sticks and stuff. It's made out of whatever it finds. So I suppose if it finds a lot of scrap, then it's a robot. But yeah, this is just a creature-y type thing with 6 legs and now an elongated torso into the sort of upper torso where the body, the arms and things are going to connect. Again, adding that sand, I like using this. I think I'm when I do more of these, because I will do more of these, because I absolutely love building this. I loved using the sand to fill in the gaps. I think it just helped with the texture. And then again, much like the legs, it's just looking to bulk up that body with sort of small pebbles, small stones, bits of wood, and already I'm quite happy with the shape that it's starting to take. I'm starting to see the design, but here on the butt, I want to have a rocky butt, and so a rocky butt needs thicker glue. Super glue is just not going to cut it. A nice big thick glob of Gorilla Glue, and that means that the stones should hold. Sometimes they do, as you'll see later on. Sometimes they don't, but there we go. Look at that. Look, kind of a bit of a rocky butt, a bit of a rocky start. And again, once these pebbles are in place, just so it's not too, they don't stand out too much. I don't want all these gaps. Again, just globs of super glue in there and sprinkle on the sand just to fill that all in, and it kind of brings all the pieces together. You know, like these are fused together over time, which is what I'm looking for. You see there, the legs look much more substantial, look like they can support the heft of its body on that side. I just need to do the same on the other side. Otherwise, it's likely to collapse, which he will do later, because I'm using stones and I'm using wood, and stones weigh more than wood. Who knew? And so he does topple over quite a lot. To save me from toppling over, why don't you go down and hit that, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment. Maybe don't comment right now, wait until you've seen the whole thing. And now just, yeah, there we go, bulking out those legs some more. Yeah, I want them to look big and thick and mean, adding more sand and grit, filling everything in, bringing everything together. Just want it to look, wherever there's obvious gaps, you know, wherever there's bits that it's like, how's that joined together? That's just a bit that's glued on. I want to fill it out with there's little pebbles there, little stones, super glue and sand, just to bring the whole thing, make it nice and uniform, or as uniform as it's going to get when it's a lump of crap that I found on the beach that I'm sticking together to kind of make some kind of shape, some sort of animal shape. I don't know how these things, you know, where they come up with how they influence one another. I would assume this has seen other aquatic type things. So it's seen the 6 legs that crabs have got. It sees that it's got these arms with big pincers on the end, and it's went, yeah, that's how I want to look. And just like the legs, I bulk up the arms using much the same thing, just adding to it. Just keep adding, adding so much so that, I mean, I went through. There was one piece of driftwood. It basically just got snipped down and cut down and carved down just into these little splinters and slivers of wood that I would be sticking on to give it. I want quite an imposing silhouette. I want a lot of bits jutting out. I want a lot of points and angles, and I want everything to look kind of rough. And that's sort of what I think I achieve by sticking on all these little bits of driftwood. So yeah, there it is. That's this bit of driftwood just basically just picked down using a variety of different pliers and snips and knives, and just getting all of these little pieces that have got really nice textures. I'm trying, rather than cut, I'm trying to snip it and snap it so that it's got that rough edge to it, which you don't even see a lot of the time. Look at that. Look at my big pile. Behold my bulk pile for this bulky boy. More super glue. More bulk. This is the actual speed I'm going, because by this point I'd had like 5 coffees and my hands are taking on a little life of their own, which they do sometimes as I'm building stuff. I'm not really, I don't think about it. I don't have too much of a plan. I don't have too much of an idea in my head. I've got a rough shape. There's the claw that was made from quite an unusual shape pebble. I wish I'd taken a photo or something, because that's the best. That's it. That's what you see. I really should get a better handle on the whole documenting side of things, but sometimes I just get carried away. You're making stuff and you just get lost in the moment, and yeah, it's sometimes you get so carried away and so lost in the moment that you don't realise where you've put super glue. You've put it everywhere, all over the model. You're sticking the pieces on, you're holding the pieces in place, and you just hope that you don't glue yourself to the model. Oi! There we go. Left some skin on there. That'll be fine. I'll wash my hands. Also, another little lesson that I'll pass on to people when you're using wood and stuff like this. It's always a good idea to cut it to size before you glue it onto the model, or at least attempt to glue it onto the model, because if you try to cut it after, yeah, there we go. Oops. Yeah, anyway, it's fine, because you just glue it back on, and I glued it on the other way around because that's the way that it was meant to go. So let's go happy accident. At this point, I'm just adding lumps on. I'm adding piece after piece, just to see how much of this I can keep packing on before it loses all kind of style and shape. And for a little while, I don't know. I'm not saying I went too far, but I stuck so many bits on that I was losing other bits, and I wasn't too happy with it. I wasn't overly happy with it, but thankfully, I think I managed to bring it back, and he actually stands for now. Give it time. Now I started to shape. I didn't know what to do with the other hand. I didn't want a hand. I didn't want the same kind of claw. So I started shaving down these little bits of wood and went for a trident, because of course, what's more nautical than a trident? And so yeah, just stuck all these pieces together. Like everything else, I shaved them down so they fit together well, and I was like, yeah, there we go, looks good. Stuck it on the one. Wasn't happy with it once it was on, so I just added more bits to it later. It was not an impressive trident, especially by the time I'd bulked this guy out. And at this point as well, I thought there's a lot of wood, there's some stones, but I hadn't used any shells. So I had a few shells that I'd found, and I thought I'm going to start adding these. One in particular on the front, because this is the bit that I thought will house the seed for the SEEDBOT. Trying to make a face and things just didn't seem to work. It wasn't what I was looking for. The other thing I found was using the shells they didn't quite fit the scale. I mean, I have no idea what size a sea creature left shells this size behind, because this thing's like, I don't know, 40 feet tall or something. So that's a pretty big whelk that's leaving. You're eating that whelk for weeks. Ugh, gross. Yeah, so I wanted to add a few shells, but I didn't want to add too many, because I think it would be kind of distracting, and they'd get lost anyway as the build goes on. It would, they would add the painting and the flocking, everything else. It would just kind of get covered up. So I didn't want to use too many shells at this point. I'll maybe save them for something later. I wanted to start sealing stuff in, because I did notice as I was going along, some of the sand and things was kind of flaking off. It was falling off. So this is just a little mix of 50-50-ish Mod Podge and water. It's a good way to seal things in. Flock and dirt and natural ingredients and things like that. Yeah, you want to seal it all, but you don't want a thick coating that's you're going to lose the texture. Use this stuff here. Everybody uses this stuff here. I didn't invent it. It is a bit front heavy, as I said, because of the claws. So I feel it needed a bit more weight and a bit more bulk at the back. I'm getting pretty good at this filming thing though, for the second video in. Such a skillful videographer, and I don't know, maybe an Oscar in the future somewhere down the line, because well, maybe not. No, there we go. Ruined it. Now, here we go. Here's this little bit of beach trash that I think looks like a Wall-E head. I've never seen Wall-E the whole way through, I don't think. I keep losing interest. It's not the best. For me, not a huge fan, but I am a huge fan of this beach trash. Not a huge fan of beach trash in general. Don't leave crap lying around on the beach. I don't know how this wound up on it. This must have washed up. I don't know how it got there. But there it is. It's not there anymore. It's on this build. And it's the only artificial thing. So all I can imagine is, as this SEEDBOT was building its body, it found the head to make the head. Now at this point I'm thinking it is very woody, and nobody wants something to be too woody. So with a little bit of the Gorilla Glue as a more substantial way of attaching, I'm going to start sticking pebbles on just to make the claw more rocky. I feel because it's got big boulders for claws, the wood it's not strong enough. Again, this thing's like 40-50 feet, weighs several tons. It needs more than just some driftwood to hold that claw in place. It needs rock, it needs boulders, it needs stones that it's picked up along the beach. So that's what I start adding. Again, as I'm going along, adding more sand to it, just to blend everything together and give it a nice rough feel. And I'm pretty happy with that claw. I'm pretty happy with it in general, and I'm loving the actual build. I've got these interesting little stones here that I'm going to use, not as spikes, what would you say, protrusions, just something to break up the silhouette a little bit, because there are times like here, you're looking at it, it's hard to distinguish what anything is, but I can fix that with a paint job, or at least somebody could fix it with a paint job. I can't fix it with a paint job, I feel, even by the end. Oh, look, there we go. Good job, Gorilla Glue. Gone. Let's stick it back on and add super glue for a bit more. Oh, look, more bits falling off. And then just cover my thing. Everywhere there's wet glue, there's gaps, just sprinkling it with sand, covering it up. As you can see there, the trident is, I bulked that up as well, just to make it that little bit more impressive, that little bit more scary. And now it needs a base. So for the base, it's just a scrap bit of MDF. It's sit them on the top, get an idea of the, just roughly draw around the outside, just to get an idea of the size that I need. I don't want any of his feet hanging over the edge, but at the same time, I don't want a massive base. I don't want it taking up too much space. I don't know what I'm going to use it for. I don't play any tabletop games. It's literally just a really ugly ornament. But yeah, there we go. Got the rough shape for the base, and now I need to cut it out. And to cut it out, you use the right tools for the job. And these are not the right tools for the job. I have no idea. But there we go. Got it. Did it. And fits. Stick some Mod Podge on there just to cover it up. And then this is all the stuff as I'm going along. All the little bits of debris, all the scraps. Little scrap splinters, bits of wood, bits of sand and grit. Just gathered it up in a bag that I always knew. This is only about a forward plan. I knew I was going to use that for a base. And then I seal the whole thing in, again with the mix, 50-50, Mod Podge and water. Just to seal it all. And then I added more pebbles and stuff because I want a bit in the middle where I'm going to add some UV resin that's going to be a little, what do you call them, rock pools. I'm saying little, again, the size of this thing, going to be quite a big rock pool. And then I add some Mod Podge around the edge, sprinkling the sand and grit on top, shaking it around to fill all the gaps, and that way when I put the resin into the little rock pool, it won't all leak out the sides. And spoiler, it didn't. Now I mixed up some Mod Podge, some brown paint, some black paint, acrylic, and I'm just putting that on as a nice even base. I toyed with the idea of just giving it a wash and keeping it the natural colours that it was, but nah, it just something about it just didn't look right. And now it just looks like a big pile of poop and a poop monster. So yeah, good job there. Let's try and make it look a little bit less like poop by giving it a nice dry brush. Do love a dry brush. Interesting little tidbit here. Dry brush on still wet base is not dry brushing. Also knocked quite a few pieces off there as I was roughly. This is my little homemade wet palette. It is a butter lid, it is some wet kitchen roll, and then it's a bit of baking parchment on top, and it does the job. But then yeah, I think you can pick wet palettes up for next to nothing now, but I still like to make my own stuff. Here I'm going with a mix of browns and reds. A lot of the stuff that I've seen for the Gutterlands uses reds and oranges, so I went with the same kind of colour palette. Some paler colours on the underside, just trying to bring it all together. Some brighter oranges. Base is basically the same colour as the SEEDBOT, because the SEEDBOT's made out of the same stuff that he's standing on, basically. But yeah, the colours were alright, but I thought the orange and red was all very samey, so I wanted to start adding a few more colours to it. So I start with some greens, some blues, I think some purples in there, a bit of pink. I don't know. Painting is the one, well, the one bit that I'm still not. All of it is still kind of learning as I'm going, kind of thing. But yeah, this is homemade flock, which is basically just sawdust mixed with a bit of acrylic paint, left to dry. And once it's dry, there you go. You've got yourself some nice homemade flock. I wanted to use homemade flock rather than the stuff you buy. One, because I am cheap, and two, because it's not going to be grass. It's going to be like algae and seaweed and that kind of stuff you see, that just sliminess that you'll sometimes see down by the beach. So I super glued it in place, and then I would stick some UV resin on top just to give it that kind of slimy look. Sticking it in all the areas that I would imagine algae and stuff would build up. I'm giving it a bit of a dry brush with some green, again, just wanting that wet, that algae, just, you know, you see this stuff all the time. You see stuff that's sitting down at the beach, harbours and things like that. It's always covered in green. It's always got that green tinge around the edges, especially the bits that have been in the water and then are out of the water to dry off, which most of the pieces that this thing is gathered up are. Using a little bit of super glue and my homemade flock, just sticking some of that homemade flock on the top, tapping it off, sticking it on, tapping it off, round and round it goes until I've built up enough that I think I was happy with the result. So yeah, now remember that weird fluff that I found, the weird fluff on the beach that I still have no idea. I could probably Google it. I have no idea what it is. Remember that stuff? There it is. Yeah, I found that on the beach. Anyway, that was another little forward bit of thinking that I thought that's going to be perfect for seaweed. And it is seaweed, corally type plant life. Again, using UV resin rather than super glue because I don't want it to dry. I want it to keep a slight wet look to it. I want it to look slimy. Now, one of the prime rules of a SEEDBOT is it comes from a seed, and the seed in question is a bead. So what I needed was a bead for my SEEDBOT, and the bead I chose was this little pearl, because of course, I'm saying little pearl at this scale, but it's a pearl the size of a watermelon. But it's going to go right there in the middle of this shell, and yeah, sticking in a bit of super glue and then just adding some flocking around the edge, tapping it so that the flocking falls down into the gap and seals it in quite nicely. And then all I need to do is glue the model to the base, and it's done. And a little bit more detailing and stuff, but yeah, probably the most fun I've had with a build ever. So I can't wait to do more. And so yeah, the build it's built, it's done, it's complete. It took longer, I spent longer on it. This video was a lot longer than I was expecting it to be, but I don't know the last time I had so much fun making something. And my actual fun, it's not saying that I don't enjoy everything that I make. I enjoy all the crafting things that I do, but this was genuine, just sort of gleeful little enjoyment at times, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy with how he's turned out. He's heavy, and I think I'm going to keep building. I think I'm going to keep adding to it. I don't know if it's ever going to be finished, because already I've got thoughts of, oh, I could do this, I could do that. So I think as I go forward and I keep, the more I'm doing this, miniatures are quite a new thing to me. So the painting of miniatures is so tricky and intricate and difficult, and so many different techniques. And as I learn more and I try more, I think this is the model that I'm gonna apply those to. I'm gonna keep coming back to it and see what happens. There's a little seed, the whole point of the whole thing. And other than obviously glue, paint, epoxy resin, UV resin, everything that's on there, even the homemade flock. The homemade flock was made with sawdust that came from cutting through the wood, cutting the bits of wood. It's all stuff from the beach. And so I've come back to the beach, give them a little day out. Thanks very much for watching this, for sticking with this especially long video. I don't know if they're going to be this long. If it's not a problem, then it is what it is. Not every project is maybe going to take as much time as this did. I already know the next thing I'm doing, and I know I said that the last time, and then this came along. But yeah, I know what I'm going to do. Little teaser coming up after the glamour shots, which are coming up pretty much now. Enjoy. What a piece of mass-produced